Sharon Carter, niece to the great Peggy Carter, potential maybe almost love interest for Steve Rogers. Two things that are facts, but are hardly things that define this dynamic character that we've hopefully only seen the beginning of. Masterfully portrayed by the talented Emily Van Camp, this MCU version may have initially been introduced in 2014's Captain America: The Winter Soldier as a neighbor to Steve Rogers or Captain America, but we soon are already made aware that there is always more than meets the eye with Sharon Carter. Finding herself on the right side of S.H.I.E.L.D. in that film, in 2016's Civil War, Sharon makes the tough choice that puts her on the wrong side of the law due to the Sokovia Accords and her decision to support Cap, Sam, and Bucky by absconding with and returning their confiscated gear to them. This decision of going against the new law meant Sharon would no longer have the life she once knew and would find herself no longer welcome in her own country. Cut to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which serves as the next time we get to see Sharon Carter, only this time, yet again, there is more than meets the eye to this powerful character, and we get to see some interesting twists in her approach to life. Now, if you have yet to see the Disney Plus series, I recommend it, not only for the journey of Sharon and the title characters, but for the multitude of characters we get to follow as they struggle with finding who they are and what they stand for in a strange new world. Needless to say, Miss Carter still has a role to play in the future of the MCU, just as she now has a role to play in our collections. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects, and remember, I'll be posting a new video at least twice a week, if not more, and if that sounds of interest to you, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends 6-inch scale MCU, Sharon Carter. Alright everyone, welcome back. There we have it. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Marvel Legends Hasbro MCU Sharon Carter, right? Alright, so let's do the usual. Let's flip it over and start on the back. There we go. You know what? Look at that. Nice artwork with a very good likeness of Emily Van Camp, as we recognize her if you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So very much a good likeness of what we saw in that series. So excellently done there. A little bit of detail about what's going on and for her character. Not too much more than what we already shared, right? And what you can assume from the show. Again, I definitely recommend checking out that show because we do get to see a lot more of her, and it's very exciting to have her reappear. Part of the Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure wave, right? So some of these already out. We can already get Ms. Marvel. I believe these two are available. I'm not sure about She-Hulk. For some of us, Moon Knight is on the way, right? Very quick ETA. Some people, I think, already have it in their hands. This one might have a little bit longer to go. So several figures to build that. This one obviously doesn't come with any of the Infinity Ultron pieces, but that's okay. It's an excellent one that is part of the set. I think they knew people were going to buy it regardless. They didn't need to include a part in it, right? So that's that trick with the good old Build-A-Figure. It's a way to make sure the whole line has a stronger potential of selling. But it's an excellent line, right? I mean, who wouldn't want anybody in this line? On the side, yet again, we have that lovely drawing, that likeness of Miss Van Camp / Sharon Carter. And same thing on the other side. And there's our front with the Falcon and Winter Soldier logo. Good old Disney Plus, right? Good series. Lots of good series on this streaming service. So definitely check it out. Up there on the top, we've got the logo for good old Cap. Okay? All right, well, no further ado, let's bust open this lovely figure here. I'm very excited that this thing arrived already. I did not realize it was going to come this quickly. So there we go. This one is a little bit more interesting box to cut the bottom out of, right? Guess I haven't really done many Marvel things yet. I did Beast, but you know, he was on the card back, the more retro style. So let's see how this opening from the bottom works out. You know what, it might not work out too well for me. Maybe you know what, of course it's Marvel Legends. Let's do the side. How about that? Let's come in from the side. We'll flank Agent Carter here. There we go. We'll pop that little flap open, and that's our entrance right there. Look at that. Hey, I figured it out right in front of everybody, and I'm sure many of you were saying, wow, you really are kind of not doing a great job there. You should just open it from the side. So there we go. Let's pull her out of the way just to see that background. There's that good old Hasbro pamphlet. Some logos in there, right? For Captain the Winter Soldier, so not too bad. Okay, that's simple enough. Just a piece of cardboard in there. Nice background, so it's not too plain. And there we have it. Let's pull these accessories out and get this party started. We got some taped in here. Nice, that's a rather large knife, just ready to cause some serious damage. Got a little stick, a baton, which we saw in that drawing, the likeness of her. She was holding that very baton, if you saw it. So let's pop her out. And then, of course, I've got some Infinity Ultron pieces, right? So we have weapon parts and a head. Very important one, right? Hey, you may not necessarily need the weapon because Ultron's pretty crafty, and especially Infinity Ultron, he can come up with some ways to get around not having a weapon, but there's not much you can do if you don't have a head, right? And yeah, very good job with this head. I mean, we're not going to spend too much time on the Infinity Ultron because I'm not assembling him right now. She is actually the only one that has any of the parts that I have thus far. So you know what? Shame on me. Maybe I need to. I said who wouldn't want that whole line, and I've yet to collect that line, or at least what's available. So there we go. That's the head. Pieces of the weapon, right? That gigantic thing. So they stick together. Now this is a very rubbery, kind of surprising, flexible, bendy plastic, which is good, right? Yeah, it does have a little bit of an issue because, it's bendy, so we've got that from just shipping, and this one is a little bit warped. Let me adjust the focus here so we can see. That one's a little bit, it's got a little bit of a bend to it. Again, another one of those things where we might have to apply some heat to straighten it out. But all in all, I think a good choice to not have something this large and coming to this much of a point be really hard plastic, right? Better safe than sorry, I would say, with something like that, because we don't want anything to deter the ability of having great weapons like this, and we definitely don't want anything hurting anyone, especially our kids out there, right? So the plastic that it's made of, it's kind of some of that wavy, cast metallic type plastic, so like it or don't, that is what it is made of, and look forward to it if you don't have it in your collection yet. So there we go. Let's move the Ultron pieces to the side, and let's start looking at what comes with Miss Carter. Okay, so we got fists. Okay, so she is ready, always, for a good battle, right? So we got a good left and right fist right there. That or a good party fist pump. I don't know, do people still do that anymore? There's our baton, our beat stick, right? So she's, yet again, if she's not using the fist, she's ready with the stick. Looks like it's already in extended form for battle, so we can use that. And then, of course, she came with this massive knife. Now, the baton typically would probably be a pretty clean weapon, I would think, right? It's kind of a glittery, silvery paint going on there. I do like that. I appreciate that. To give it more of a metallic look. The handle is painted gray, so that's good for that. It never hurts to add a little bit of wear on something that is regularly used, right? So the handle could have a little bit of shading to it. But all in all, what am I nitpicking, right? It's a weapon, and they did a great job. They put paint on it to add some detail. And the reason that I went through all that is because look at this thing. It feels thin, it feels cheap, it feels like they just didn't even bother. It is a very flimsy, rubbery plastic. Again, safety first, right? It's better for that. But no bother in even really trying to do much detail on the handle. There's even a number 2 on it from casting. So minimal effort put into this is what I'm going to say, right? Very, very minimal effort on this weapon. There's not even a different color to the handle or even just different texture. If you wanted to keep it black, that's totally fine. But this almost looks like I hate to say it, but like a bootleg weapon, right? That would come with a bootleg character that you picked up. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the character herself. Okay, so first impressions, just looking at it, this is a pretty solid likeness of Emily Van Camp, right? The actress that plays Sharon Carter. I think they did a great job with the photorealism on this one. Obviously, it just keeps getting better. So I don't know why I keep getting surprised by the quality that they do, and they keep moving it closer and closer. But yeah, look at the photorealism on that. I think they did a fantastic job with the detail on it. Nothing, even looking at it this close, nothing is really standing out, right? It does have that shine to the face, but that's okay. A lot of people do when they're on camera, in the lights. There's going to be a shine. In real life, there is some shine, but it's not quite as bad as it's looking here on the camera. The lips are shiny, but hey, you know what? Maybe they're glossy. Maybe that's just how it is. But let's take a look at the hair, right? So it definitely has the blonde, and it's got a very good sculpt to the hair, right? It's got a good flow to it. And they did a lot of different colors mixed in there, right? To give it a little bit more of a natural look. So we've got the brown here on the top, but if you can kind of see, the brown fades into a lighter orangish brown and then into the blonde. And all throughout the blonde, there are lighter shades. There are shades of brown. They did an excellent job at doing what I always hope that they'll do. If you're going to spend this time on creating this detail and sculpting such detail, find ways to highlight it, bring it out, let us see it, let us enjoy it, right? So on this hair, they did a fantastic job with that. Now with the hair, obviously it always causes a little bit of difficulty with flexibility, but you know, we'll move her back a little bit and we'll have our focus follow. So flexibility of the head side to side, considering we've got this massive helmet of hair, not bad. Right, not terrible. The hair does get in the way, especially with the hood behind. But you know, again, not terrible. We do have up and down fairly decent for, again, having a helmet of hair over a relaxed down hood. But let's see. So the neck is attached to the torso, as we're kind of familiar with. Head is attached to a ball up underneath there, so that's where we get some good flexibility. I would say the color matching between the head and the torso, pretty good, right? Because we're dealing with paint versus cast plastic and the photorealism applied to it. So not disappointed with how it pairs up right there, right? See, you have to look at it at certain angles to be able to tell that, you know, maybe it's just ever so slightly off. But even then, I'm not convinced. But let's do the test. Will she do it? See, I don't want to push it too much. But, oh, look, there we go. Oh, we can make it. I believe in it. We made it. Look at that. With minimal or no risk, we had a little bit of catch on some of the hair. If you move it out of the way, you can get full Exorcist. Look at that. I can't say that I'm not a little bit surprised and very thrilled, right? So great job there, especially with having all the stuff in the way and being able to go full Exorcist with that. Not too many figures or sculpts would have been able to pull that off. So moving on, speaking of that hood, look at this. It's like it is a piece that is on her as a vest underneath. So talk about having some layers. That's great. All right, but first let's look at the arms. So shoulders, can we see underneath there? Shoulders do not seem to have a butterfly, but that's okay. We're not really losing a lot of mobility or posability. It still goes pretty far up and decently back, right? I can't move my arm too much further back beyond that. The ability for it to rotate a little bit that way would have been great, especially since we don't have a bicep-tricep rotate right there. We do have the ability for the elbow to rotate though, which is neat, but that means we're only dealing with a single elbow on this kind of like on this type of joint. All right, so we've got the rotation there, but we also have the flex, but that does kind of limit the ability of that elbow to bend. And then down to the hand, we don't have anything in the forearm beneath the elbow, but the hand will move, and it does have the up and down, because you can see we've got that little joint right there. So we've got that. I do notice a little bit of flexibility in it, but to be expected when, you know, it's more positioned and ready to be pulled out and applied back in. I've noticed that, and I don't really think there's any difference in creation, but sometimes it seems like it's a little bit more flimsy when it's easier, or they have it set to be pulled out, but I'm making stuff up. Other arm, same thing going on there, and same thing with the hand. We've got that same joint for the wrist, as you can see. So we don't have the wiggle, but we do have up and down, and we do have full rotation on both of those. Here in the torso, we do have kind of even a very much upper torso. Obviously, it's using we'll say a certain line that typically exists on this type of individual to kind of hide that seam or that joint. So I'm going to say that's very clever. Now, I mean, it's not uncommon. It's not the first time that we've seen it, but I'm still going to say that that's very clever because it's a good way to hide it in using a line that already exists naturally for a character like this. We'll say of this gender. Waist, no rotation there, but we do, again, have that upwards. Legs, flexibility. Let's see. don't really have that pull down. If I pull, it comes down, but I don't think it's intended to do that. It kind of seems like it goes out a little bit, but I think that's also just how it's made. It doesn't really seem to intentionally do that. It's just the leg doing that naturally. One thing that kind of stands out right here is if I do the split, it's okay, but this knee joint, very, very loose. You see how wiggly that is? So just something to kind of keep an eye out, because both of those are actually quite loose, and I think it might be the way that these things are constructed. This feels like a lot harder plastic, where this almost feels a little bit softer, and you can see the different textures, right? This is a lot shinier, where this is a little bit more dull, almost like a rubbery style, and it's kind of showing in that joint right there. So that's something to definitely be careful about. And it almost seems like up here is back to this same. So this thigh, perhaps they've borrowed it from another character, and instead of changing the material it's made from, they just simply reused it. Or vice versa, the top in here. I mean, obviously, this may be from somebody and this is from somebody else. That's what I'm getting at. Needless to say, that does give us a upper thigh rotation or swivel. We've got that double knee, slightly loose, and even when I pull on it, it makes me feel a little bit nervous. It felt a little precarious doing that. Pretty darn flexible though, so that's good. But also flexible in the wrong way. I mean, look at how loose that is. That's unfortunate. No calf rotation. The foot does have the up and down, and we have the ability to do the good old ankle breaker, right? It just looks painful. Okay, well, there we go. And obviously the other leg, same flexibility, same capability in there as far as the rotation. But looking back at these, the clothes that she has, right? So all of this is that flexible, almost rubbery plastic that we're used to for Marvel Legends. So they do move around fairly well. This is an entire blue vest, so I'm happy to see that. They didn't really skimp on it, except for maybe right here, they cut it in kind of sharp. See, it doesn't really go all the way to the shoulders on thing. And then the overcoat, a very nice touch. So I'm going to say overall, very good looking character. If we pop in a little bit closer to kind of take a look at some of the paint app details, the little buttons in the copper or gold, looking very good there. It's always good when I bump the camera as well. But those gold buttons painted on, it's a nice little extra detail. Some of the stuff that you may not always see that could have been easily be missed, just like over here. These do look like they're raised buttons, which if they're snaps, this will be one side of the snap, this will be the other side of the snap. And it kind of seems like that's the way that they are. But these were missed, they were not painted, they are still the color of the plastic. So unfortunate on that, just by the fact that it does look like it's a snap. Belt buckle is painted. Not much of the rest is to be painted, right? So we're dealing with a black, almost bodysuit, maybe pants and a shirt, but still nothing that really needs much paint to do. The shoelaces, hey, if we really want to find nitpicky details, shoelaces could be painted, right, to add a little bit of texture. Around the back, again, nothing that needed to be painted. Maybe something could have brought out this belt a little bit more. Even if it was a green belt to match this jacket, something could have helped to bring out. Again, if you're going to sculpt the detail, if you're going to spend that time and make these pieces of art, show us. Let us see this detail, right? Be proud of it. Do everything you can to show this stuff off. So, just things maybe to highlight bits on the costume. That would be the only thing that I could really point out as far as paint app wise, because again, the face is just extremely well done. As far as an action figure likeness of Emily Van Camp, they did a great job. So there we go. That's Our Lady. Major opportunity that I saw, of course, was those knees. So let's see if those knees will let me pose very well. You know what it kind of reminds me of? Not to hearken to a different manufacturer, but those animated series, Batman and Superman that came out from McFarlane Toys in like the early wave a couple years ago. Those skinny little legs and how they bent. That's how they remind me. But there she is. She stood pretty well, pretty easily, still standing on her own 2 feet. So can't complain, even though those knees are a little bit wobbly. So be careful with those. We're going to pop back with some 360 views. Okay, so here is a 360 view of Sharon Carter. Again, a wonderful looking figure. No complaints on it. The only thing that I will throw out there, if you notice, she has a very vanilla pose in this 360 view. Not that some of them aren't always vanilla, but I was kind of restricted. I think with the flexibility of the knees and something going on with the legs, it was a little bit challenging to get some very dynamic poses without having the assistance of like a stand or something like that. If you have some suggestions on how to make better poses, I would love to hear about it. Throw them in the comments, let me know. But not a deterrent, still a great figure. I would definitely recommend it. Solid job. Well, that about does it. Thank you for checking us out and for joining us on this collecting journey. Look for a new video at least twice a week, if not more. And be sure to subscribe and click that like button. It would really help us out and it would mean a lot to me. And if you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. No matter what, thanks for taking the time. And we're all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.